of the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum. As we should all be aware, an organization that seeks to promote and develop Uganda's mining and petroleum sectors and services. He is truly a titan of the industry, not only in oil and gas, but in mining and minerals, and generally in the energy sector. He is a founding partner of the Kampala Associated Advocates, a Tier 1 law firm in Uganda, a former chairman of the Private Sector Foundation, and the founder, president, and chairman of the Governing Council of the Uganda Center for Arbitration and Dispute Resolution. He has worked in the diplomatic capacity as Honorary Consul General of the Republic of Seychelles to Uganda. He serves on several boards, and I believe we can all learn a lesson. If I mentioned them, we would stay until the afternoon, but it's really a testimony to his distinguished career and service. It's my singular honor to welcome the Honorable Dr. Senior Counsel, Elly Karuhanga.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Loyola. I am very honored to address this audience, and I'm going to do it from my heart as an elder of this industry. I apologize for not standing before you because I have a back challenge, so I would not be able to stand for so long. So with your permission, please allow me to address you while seated, taking advantage of the new technology of these cameras. It also gives me the benefit of seeing some of the audience behind me on the screen. So, Honorable Minister of Energy, Mineral Development, Honorable Ruth Nankabirwa, having you in our midst is a great source of pleasure for me personally and for this audience. And I ask that we clap for you. I know her for a long time in politics, when I had my time there. She has been our Minister of Defense, and she was able to beat Kony and get him out of our country. Having succeeded in getting insurgency out of Uganda, she also became the chief whip of politicians in parliament, parliamentarians, which is a very high office next to that of leader of government business. She is truly a great daughter of Africa and of Uganda, and I'm proud that His Excellency the President found it fit and proper, even after the people in your constituency let us down, to appoint you to head a ministry like this at a time like this, where we are talking about transition. I'm sorry to take long about you, but let me welcome you to this conference with my heart. And alongside you, sitting next to you, is Irene Pauline Batebe, engineer, permanent secretary in your ministry. The two ladies are the true mothers of our current engagement in making sure that we have our first oil. They joined and we had FID. They have been together running this now for the last 3 years. And I'm sure that we couldn't get better midwives than them. By the way, Mr. Mshiriri, I have declared this third name of Pauline Irene Batebe, engineer. Okay. Now, the Executive Director, Ernest Rubondo, has just been speaking, and it's very difficult to follow, to speak after him. But may I ask you to clap for him, please? And I'll tell you why a little later. The members who have, as private sector, led this industry, the executive, the general manager of Total Energies, Philippe Gros, please clap for him. Thank you for giving us a good lesson on energy transition. Mr. Lou Jardin, very nice to see you and sitting next to me again. And congratulations for being appointed president of SINOC. Our colleagues from Uganda Private Sector Foundation, I'm told that the CEO is here, Mr. Simwe, Mr. Ngadia, who heads our very important area of skilling our people in Chugum. Please clap for Ngadia. Our friends from UNOC, I don't know whether I haven't seen Proskovia Nabanja here, but I don't know, I hope she's here. And the people from there, please, it's great to have you. People from the pipeline, Mr. Pipeline, and your colleagues, please, let's clap for you. That's Habomugisha, JP. Whatever I'm going to tell you today, I'm going to tell you as a witness in a court of law, because I'm so used to that environment and I know how to be a witness. I have been a witness to the development of oil and gas in Uganda for a very long time, because somewhere in 2005, a young company came to my office and said, would you like to be our lawyer? I said yes. After a short time, they said, would you like to be our president? I said, I don't know anything to do with oil and gas. I can't afford it. I'll let you down. They took me to Australia and trained me and brought me back. And I assumed the role of president of the company which finally discovered oil in Uganda, and which is very less known now. But its name was Hardman Petroleum Resources of Australia. Our office was on Shintante Road in the valley, and we had a small house there. There were 3 employees. And I was one of them. And 2 of them, one was a receptionist making tea for us, and another one was somebody who was doing construction. Believe me or not, in a very short time, we discovered oil at Mputa. And I was there, I think, with Ernest, Kawagambe Kalisa, Shambuzi, Kasande, and these are important people. I'm not giving titles, and others. And I saw the first flaring of oil in my life. I thought that that's how when you go to hell, that's how the place looks like, because there was so much fire up in the cloud. And I got so intimidated. I didn't know Uganda had so much resource underground. As soon as we did that, the world started telling us how Uganda was doomed. How we were doomed to face an oil curse. The media started telling us what's going on in the Niger Delta. And all the abuse of oil and the discovery, how we were going to have war, how we were going to destroy the economy, how oil companies are bad companies, how they run the economies and countries, how they influence politics in the countries where they go. And the civil society started addressing us in parliament and taking our parliamentarians to workshops to tell them to fight the oil because of the oil curse. This went on and on until the media really took it up and Parliament started having emergency sessions to talk about how the company that had now bought Hardman Resources called Talo was bribing the Prime Minister and what. It was very difficult. I don't want to tell you a long story like that, but as president of Talo at that time, having been Hardman having been bought by Talo, and they kept me, we summoned some friends and said, what do we do? How can we make this whole negative attitude about oil go away? So we formed the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum from the Chamber of Mines, which was there only. It was small, they didn't even have a bank account. So I'm pleased to say that Honorable Richard Keijuka, Madame Karuhanga, if she's here, Karen, Mr. Mururi, the late Paul Sherwin, and others, were not more than 8. We formed the Uganda Chamber of UCMP, Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum. I was given the honor of chairing it, and Sir Rich, as I fondly call him and other friends, became the vice chairperson of the chamber. We then launched the chamber, and we lobbied high and low, including His Excellency the President, who came to launch our chamber at Africana Hotel in a very colorful, well-organized conference. The shock of Ugandans. We were using our own resources. We were not being paid any money. His Excellency the President came with another visiting president, the President of South Africa. Coincidentally, yesterday the President of South Africa was also here. That is how we, since that time, His Excellency the President attended almost all our conferences and brought international presidents and guests with him. Our chamber started to explain what oil and gas advantages are. We attracted many people from abroad to come to Uganda. We sanitized our country and sanitized oil and gas. Whereas the second oil and gas conference was attended 90% by foreigners in this hall. 10% Ugandans were very skeptical. I am so happy to see when I turn around, cameraman, please show the public what type of conference is being attended now. Ugandans are 90%. The Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum stopped the confusion that had run amok in Bizak in Uganda. The Uganda Chamber of Mines, through these workshops and conferences, did a wonderful, wonderful job. Conference after conference after conference. We went abroad, we saw how they organized conferences. We made a good conference time here in Uganda. Now we can host any international conference on oil and gas here. We are very proud to do that. I congratulate the young people who joined us in the chamber, people like Patrick Mwehere, who is now the current chairperson, colleagues, young characters like Mr. Ashaba, Tony Otoa, people who have now spread around. I want to thank the individuals who volunteered to make this chamber. When we left billions of shillings on the account, all contributed by you members who have come to join us. I want to thank you all, members of the chamber, who have painstakingly built this chamber from zero to what it is today. Clap for yourselves. If you are not yet a member of the chamber and you are doing business in Uganda and you are a subcontractor in oil and gas, please register today and be a member and subscribe for your membership, because it pays you in good currency. We attracted international companies, subcontractors, they came, they suffered, others left, but we have sustained this thing. I thank God for the chamber and for the work you have done and for this conference. And I want to thank the government of President Museveni, the Ministry of Energy. They gave us offices free of charge as we were starting. We are still there. I want to mention some names of the people who have joined us from government and built this chamber. Mr. Kabagambe Kalisa, who was permanent secretary, was always there. The Honorable Okaris never missed a single chamber conference, and I think we should organize and give him a present. I am glad he's being replaced by my daughter, a young lady who is 30 years old. The president is incredible because now the chamber, the ministry are working together, and we feel that there is stability in the industry. The media no longer talks against the chamber. Parliament no longer talks against oil and gas. Civil society had congregated to fight us, but last year in Dubai, the opposition went, the late Cecilia Ogwal, members of NUP, they went to Mozambique, they went to Dubai, they joined the government politicians, they talked in the interest of Uganda and sustainability of our interest in oil development of oil and gas. The energy transition that Mr. Philippe and Mr. Robondo have been talking about have been explained so well. But for me, what is energy transition? For me, energy transition means from darkness to light. Uganda has been facing darkness. Transition means we transition from darkness to light. We transition from a hospital bed without any electricity, where they carry out cesarean on our sisters and wives in our villages. But now transition means we have energy in our little village hospitals. That is what is transition for me. Transition means agro-based industries coming up, industrialization. Transition means moving from a wheelbarrow to a car, to a standard gauge railway, being powered by this green energy. Transition means for me a child at home at night in darkness, unable to do their homework. We also want to be like those in Europe and read at night and do our homework for our children. For me, this is what transition is all about. Otherwise, it is an international phrase, transitioning from energy transition. This is what transition is. So I want to see our country transition from poverty to wealth. And this is what has made this conference a success, because clearly as we start, we can see where we are headed. I am so happy that we are now in the middle of negotiating genuinely with the support of the world, who are giving us support for the energy transition to continue producing our oil uninterrupted. This is great. Now, I want to conclude my remarks by telling you that oil was discovered in 1913. That's 104 years ago in Uganda. That's actually when my father was born. But we have not produced oil since that time. Ernest Rubondo has told us that we have now turned the corner, that it is unstoppable. But there are people in line whom I think must not be forgotten, who have played a role, and this conference should know them. And I'm a witness to that. I told you about Hartman Resources. Alan Barnes was the chairman. I told you about, there was Energy Africa and Heritage and Talo. These people played a big role. They took the first step in belief about investing in Uganda. Yes, they made money, but I think we should clap for them. Believe it or not, I signed the production sharing agreements at Nakasero State House. I'm a witness to this industry. I drove people. The president of SINOC, Mr. Fu Shangwei, who came here, I drove him from the airport to his hotel at Sheraton. And I drove him from Sheraton to State House for a meeting to attract him to invest in Uganda. I drove Mr. Fu Shangwei, and SINOC has never looked back. So every time I see SINOC and I see you, my friend Yadong, I know where it all started. Let's clap for SINOC and the Chinese people who have put trust even when we're having a lot of challenges. Mr. Aiden Hive, the head of Talo, who appointed me president, who made it possible for me even to receive the present at a national holiday on the 8th of October 2006 at Kololo, when I walked to receive the president on behalf of oil companies at a prayer attended by the president and another head of state from Burundi. And I received the president. Ernest Rubondo got cash and all the colleagues from the ministry. I was there. Mr. Alan Barnes of Hardman Petroleum, Mr. Tony Buckingham. These are people. I drove Mr. Big Moustache, Charles Dimajare, the president of Total, who came to Uganda for the first time. I drove him to Mbale, and I drove him from Mbale to meet the president to Soroti. And from Soroti, we flew to here. And I picked him from the airport in my car and brought him to this hotel where we are here. I have been part and parcel of this industry. I am a witness to the people who have sacrificed and supported our country. There are names that must not be missed of Ugandans who are, for me, every time I see them, I bow. I told you about Mr. Kabagambe Kalisa, Mr. Ruben Kashambuzi, Mr. Ernest Rubondo, Mr. Hane Malinga, Robert Kasande, Engineer Batebe, Proscovia Nabanja. These people walked in these unmarked areas, no roads in the Albert and Grabin. And I have not mentioned others. People like JP Habumugisha. These people, I don't know what to do. Let's all please, those mentioned and unmentioned, put your hands together and thank these young Ugandans. And then they unleashed a level of training. Taro trained over 20 people to universities. Government sent people to universities. Then we have a new crop, now running Petroleum Authority, now running UNOC, now running Total, now running SINOC. Oh my God, still in the ministry. This This is, for me, I am sitting here and I'm wondering, is this possible? People, we have turned the corner. And I saw Tanzania signing for the pipeline and giving Uganda rights of passage for our oil. And I see it have compensated almost 100% for the pipeline. I see 300 kilometers of pipes already being laid for us, our oil to go away. I see the airport at Kabale in Hoima. I see the developments of rigs we are talking about in Tireng and in Kingfisher. I have visited the roads in Kingfisher. I have seen the lights, I've seen the developments, I've seen the civil works run by Motor NGO. I've seen young companies of Ugandans running civil works. I see companies becoming, I've seen logistic companies coming with strange looking equipment from Mombasa. I have seen, I am a witness to an amazing story of oil and gas in Uganda. And I thank God for Uganda. And I thank God for the young population. And I must stop. I am getting carried away and I may not stop. But thank you all for coming to attend this conference. Thank you for leaving your work, for sacrificing your jobs, for accepting to fly to Uganda and work here, you foreigners, for setting up good offices, for employing Ugandans, for accepting local content, for being genuine, for committing yourselves to Uganda, for enjoying our food, for becoming friends with our children. Thank you for investing in the future. Welcome to the Power of Africa. Thank you for the microphone.